You don't get rich to become disciplined. You get disciplined to become rich. Money doesn't change your habits, it exposes them. If you can't control your impulses when you're broke, you'll lose everything when you're rich. Wealth doesn't start with cash. It starts with control. Discipline is the foundation. Everything else, success, freedom, respect, is built on top of it. This audiobook isn't about money. It's about the structure that makes money inevitable. Your discipline. Chapter 1. Stop chasing money. Start building discipline. You don't get rich to become disciplined. You get disciplined to become rich. Let that sink in. Most people get it backwards. They chase the money before they build the discipline. They want the lifestyle before they've earned the habits. They want the outcome without the process. And that's why they lose. Because money isn't a solution. It's a magnifier. If you lack control, money will expose it. If you're impulsive, money will amplify it. If you're lazy, money will multiply your mistakes. You can't outrun who you are. You can't cheat the process. The game of wealth always begins at the same place. Discipline, the illusion of chasing money. Everyone says they want to be rich. But ask them to define it, and they stumble. For most, wealth just means more cash, more things, more comfort, but wealth without discipline is chaos. You'll see it in lottery winners. You'll see it in overnight influencers. They get everything and then lose it all. Why? Because they built no structure to hold it. Money doesn't make you smart. Money doesn't make you calm. Money doesn't make you capable. It only reveals who you've always been. That's why discipline is the first investment. Not stocks, not crypto, not real estate. Discipline. Because discipline compounds faster than any market. Every time you delay gratification, you're investing. Every time you say no to distraction, you're investing. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're investing. And those invisible investments pay the biggest dividends. Remember this: discipline first. Money follows. The athlete analogy. Think about world-class athletes. They train for years before anyone pays them, before fame, before sponsorships, before contracts. They grind in silence, unseen, unpaid, uncelebrated. Why? Because the foundation comes before the reward. The discipline creates the value, and the value creates the wealth. The same is true in business. The same is true in life. You don't get paid for wanting. You get paid for mastery, and mastery demands structure. It demands routine. It demands sacrifice. You want to get wealthy? Then stop asking, how do I make more money? Start asking, how do I become more disciplined? Because once you build that, money chases you. Discipline is the currency of freedom. Money is not freedom. Discipline is. Because without discipline, you're a slave. To impulse, to comfort, to fear. You buy what you don't need to impress people you don't like with money you don't have. Freedom doesn't come from earning more. It comes from needing less. It comes from control. And control comes from discipline. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. They want quick hacks. They want lucky breaks. But wealth isn't built in a moment. It's built in the 1,000 choices no one sees. It's built when you wake up early, when you choose focus over distraction, when you hold yourself accountable, even when no one's watching. That's where the real wealth begins, in the invisible grind, the myth of motivation. You don't need motivation to be disciplined. You need standards. Motivation fades. Standards stay. The rich aren't always excited. They're consistent. They show up when they're tired. They perform when they don't feel like it. Because they understand, discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. You can't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Discipline is built in the moments you act without permission. That's the difference between dreamers and builders. Dreamers wait for motivation. Builders move without it. The internal battle, the biggest war isn't out there, it's inside you. It's the war between your comfort and your commitment. Between what you want now and what you want most. Every day, that battle decides your future. Every skipped task, every delay, every indulgence. They stack up. They steal your edge. But every disciplined choice builds momentum. Every sacrifice strengthens your foundation. You may not see the results today, but you're planting seeds. Seeds that grow into control. Control that turns into confidence. And confidence that attracts wealth. It's not about money. It's about mastery. It's not about luck. It's about leverage, and the ultimate leverage is discipline. Real-world proof. Look at the self-made millionaires, the ones who started with nothing. What do they all have in common? Discipline. They weren't smarter than you. They weren't luckier than you. They were more consistent than you. They did what others refused to do, for longer. That's the secret. Not hustle, not genius, not connections, just relentless, boring, daily discipline. They turned their structure into success. And you can too, because discipline is not talent, it's choice. Every day you get to choose. You either build structure or chaos builds you. Stop chasing. The symptom money is the symptom. Discipline is the cure. If you want to fix your financial life, fix your habits first. Track your time like it's money. Budget your focus like it's capital. Invest your energy like it's gold, because it is. And once you master how you spend those invisible currencies, the visible ones multiply. Every day you practice control, you're building compound interest in your character. And one day that inner wealth will manifest as outer wealth. It's inevitable. Closing transition. You don't get paid for chasing money. You get paid for becoming the kind of person who deserves it. Discipline is the path, control is the power, and mastery is the reward. So stop running after money. Start building the structure that money runs toward, because the truth will never change. Discipline first. Money follows. You've learned the foundation. Now let's move deeper into the structure that holds your future. Chapter 2. Your habits are your real bank account. You think your wealth is in your wallet, but your real wealth lives in your routine. That's the truth. Your habits, not your salary, not your title, not your luck, are your real bank account. Every decision you make either deposits or withdraws from that account. Every morning you wake up with purpose. Deposit. Every hour you waste scrolling, sleeping in, or doubting yourself. Withdrawal. You are the accountant of your own future. And most people are bankrupt long before they ever touch money, the hidden ledger of life. Most people track only what they can see, the numbers in their bank app. But your life has another ledger, the invisible one, and that one never lies. It tracks your focus, your discipline, your follow-through. It records every time you broke your promise to yourself and every time you kept it. That's your real balance. Because if your habits are weak, no amount of money will make you strong. If your structure is broken, no opportunity will hold. You can't out-earn bad habits. You might get lucky once, but luck runs out. Discipline doesn't. Every choice pays interest. Every decision you make has a compounding effect. One day of focus won't change your life. But 1,000 days of focus? That's freedom. Skipping a workout doesn't destroy you, but the pattern does. Spending impulsively once doesn't ruin you, but the pattern does. The little things compound, and here's the catch. Your habits compound whether you notice or not. Bad ones quietly drain you. Good ones quietly build you. The difference between the poor and the rich isn't in how much they make. It's in what they repeat. The rich repeat structure. The poor repeat excuses. You have a choice every single day. Deposit or withdraw. Build or break. Discipline or destruction. That's the key. You don't rise to the level of goals. You fall to the level of systems. You can dream about financial freedom all you want. You can write goals on paper, visualize, manifest, affirm. But if your systems don't change, nothing changes. Your habits are the blueprint of your destiny. Want to know your future? Look at what you do daily, not what you say you'll do. If your mornings start with chaos, distraction, and delay, don't expect focus and clarity later. If your evenings end with comfort, scrolling, and consumption, don't expect momentum tomorrow. You can't build a kingdom on a cracked foundation, and your habits are your foundation. That's why the wealthy protect their routines like their lives depend on it. Because they do. The power of invisible work. The world praises results, not routines. But the routine creates the results. You won't go viral for waking up early. You won't get applause for saying no to distractions. You won't be celebrated for studying while others sleep, but that's where the real work happens. In silence, in repetition, in boredom. Success is built in private long before it's recognized in public. And those who can't handle the quiet part never reach the loud one. The question is, can you do the boring work daily? Can you keep the promises nobody else sees? Can you stay disciplined when there's no applause? Because that's what builds the real wealth. Not show, not luck, not hype. Discipline. Habits as financial multipliers. Let's talk practical. Every habit either grows or erodes your financial future. A habit of saving multiplies opportunity. A habit of learning multiplies potential. A habit of control multiplies longevity. But a habit of emotional spending, procrastination, or blaming, those compound too, in the opposite direction. The person who can delay gratification owns the future. Because money moves to those who can control themselves longer than others. That's the secret to every great investor, entrepreneur, or creator. Not genius, not timing. Patience and precision built through discipline. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. And that's what most people never master. Character. Before cash, here's the hard truth. Money doesn't build character. It tests it. If you're irresponsible when you're broke, you'll be reckless when you're rich. If you lie to yourself when no one's watching, you'll lie to the world when everyone is. Your habits are your preparation. They prove whether you're ready for more. If you can't handle the small responsibilities, you'll never handle the big ones. You don't grow into success. You discipline yourself into it. The boring truth about progress. Everyone wants a breakthrough. Nobody wants repetition. But breakthroughs come through repetition. Progress is slow. It's quiet. It's frustrating. But that's what makes it rare. Every successful person you admire, they weren't chasing motivation. They were chasing momentum, one small win a day, one decision done right, one moment of discipline when it was easiest to quit. That's the compound effect of control. That's what builds real power. Not speed, not hype, not chance. Stop measuring wealth by numbers. Stop measuring your life by what you've earned. Start measuring it by what you've kept. Because wealth isn't income, it's endurance. The question isn't, how much did I make? The question is, how long can I stay disciplined when the reward hasn't come yet? You can't control when success shows up, but you can control how prepared you'll be when it does. And that's what habits do. They keep you ready. When opportunity knocks, the disciplined man doesn't scramble. He's already built for it. He's already trained for it. That's what separates the wealthy from the wishful. Preparation over hope. Routine over randomness. Closing. Transition. Your habits are the foundation. Your structure is the vault. And your consistency is the interest. Stop asking, when will I get rich? Start asking, what am I repeating? Because every day, your habits are writing your financial story, whether you like it or not. Build strong habits, and wealth becomes automatic. Ignore them, and poverty becomes predictable. The choice is yours, deposit or withdraw. Every single day, discipline first, money follows. And that discipline lives in your habits. You've learned how structure builds wealth. Now let's go deeper, into the enemy that destroys it. Chapter 3. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. Comfort doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about keeping you still. You think comfort is peace, but it's not. It's the most dangerous trap on earth because it feels safe while it quietly kills your potential. Comfort whispers, "You've done enough." Comfort tells you, "You deserve a break." Comfort says, "You can start tomorrow." And if you listen long enough, you'll believe it. The truth? Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is the silent assassin of ambition. The death you don't see. Coming. Most people don't fail dramatically. They don't explode. They fade slowly, one lazy morning at a time. One skipped workout, one delayed task, one distraction that turns into a habit. You don't fall off the mountain. You slide down quietly. And by the time you realize it, your dreams are already buried under the weight of your comfort zone. Comfort kills silently because it convinces you you're fine. But fine is the enemy of great. Comfort numbs your hunger. It steals your fire. It turns ambition into memory. That's why average people stay average, because they think safety equals success. Discomfort builds the man. Comfort kills him. Look at anyone who's accomplished anything great. Every one of them built their empire in discomfort. Athletes push through exhaustion. Entrepreneurs push through uncertainty. Artists push through rejection. They learned something comfort will never teach you. Growth and peace cannot coexist. If you want to evolve, you must choose discomfort, again and again. Because every moment you choose ease over effort, you lose strength, resilience, and drive. Discomfort is the gym for your character. Pain is the tuition for progress. That's the price of greatness, and most people are too cheap to pay it. The lie of modern comfort. Modern life is designed to make you weak. Everything is instant. Everything is easy. Everything is comfortable. Fast food, fast entertainment, fast dopamine. You can numb your discomfort in seconds. Scroll, eat, escape. But every time you choose the easy way, you train your brain to avoid challenge. You weaken the muscle that builds success. Discipline. You don't need more comfort. You need more control. Because comfort doesn't make you happy. It makes you hollow. When life gets too easy, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start dying. Slowly. The discipline of discomfort. The strong don't seek pain. They embrace it when it comes. Because they understand. Pain is the proof of progress. When you wake up early instead of sleeping in, you're training your will. When you save money instead of spending it, you're training your patience. When you say no to distractions, you're training your focus. Every act of discomfort is a deposit into your discipline. And that's how you build the foundation for success. The weak say, I'll start when it's easier. The strong say, I'll start now, because it's hard. That's the difference. That's why few rise and most remain stuck. You have to stop waiting for comfort to disappear, and it never will. You must act despite it. You must become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Real-world proof. The comfort collapse. Look around you. The world is full of people who wanted success until it got hard. They wanted to start a business until it meant sleepless nights. They wanted a better body until it meant discipline. They wanted wealth until it meant sacrifice. And then they stopped. They returned to comfort and convinced themselves that maybe it wasn't meant to be. No, it was meant to be, but they weren't willing to bleed for it. The truth is, greatness is not hidden. It's just guarded by pain. And comfort keeps you from even reaching the gate. If you want to be extraordinary, you must suffer through what ordinary people avoid. You must do the work comfort convinces others to quit. The equation of growth. Here's the equation nobody wants to face. Comfort, stagnation. Discomfort, evolution. The moment you get comfortable, you stop moving. And in this world, when you stop moving, you fall behind. The man who chases comfort today pays for it tomorrow. The man who endures discomfort today gets paid forever. That's the law, the universal law of success. So ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that scared you? That stretched you? That humbled you? If you can't remember, you're already stuck. And the only way out is through the discomfort you've been avoiding. Comfort versus freedom. Comfort feels like freedom, but it's actually a cage. It locks you into habits that keep you small. It trades long-term peace for short-term pleasure. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from mastering it. When you can sit in discomfort and keep moving, you become untouchable. You can't be manipulated by fear. You can't be stopped by struggle. You can't be seduced by comfort. That's real freedom, when your mind no longer craves the easy path. So stop chasing the life that feels good. Build the life that makes you good. Because comfort won't make you powerful. Discipline will. The practice of controlled pain. Here's your strategy. Choose small discomfort daily. Build your tolerance for difficulty like a muscle. Wake up earlier. Take cold showers. Work an extra hour on your craft. Delay one comfort every day. Food, scrolling, gossip, laziness. Why? Because you're not punishing yourself. You're training yourself. You're reminding your mind who's in control. You're building the proof that you can endure. And the more you endure, the less you fear. Fear dies in discipline. Comfort feeds it. Closing. Transition comfort is a liar. It tells you you're safe, while it steals your strength. It promises peace, while it kills your purpose. If you want to build wealth, mastery, or freedom, you must bury your addiction to ease, because the life you want doesn't live inside comfort. It lives in control, and control is born in discipline. Remember, discomfort builds the man. Comfort kills him. You've faced your comfort zone. Now it's time to face the next level of mastery, control over yourself. Because if you can't manage you, you'll never manage money. Chapter 4. You can't manage money until you can manage yourself. Tone. Authoritative, direct, repetitive, transformation-focused. 7-9 men read. If you can't manage yourself, you'll never manage money. That's the law. Money doesn't fix you. It magnifies you. It amplifies your habits. It exposes your weakness. It shines a spotlight on the parts of you you've been avoiding. You think more money will bring control. It won't. It will test your control. It will multiply your habits, both good and bad. So if you want to build wealth, you start with the hardest thing to manage. You, the mirror rule. Money is a mirror. It reflects your decisions back to you. If you are impulsive, your finances will be impulsive. If you are patient, your investments will grow. If you are chaotic, your results will be chaotic. You can't separate your behavior from your balance. They are one and the same. That's why people who win the lottery go broke. They receive money they never built the discipline to hold. They built no internal structure. And without structure, every fortune collapses. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how much control you have when you earn it. The discipline. Before the dollar, you can't expect to manage money when you can't manage mornings. You can't control cash if you can't control cravings. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. Discipline is transferable. If you're sloppy in one area, it bleeds into every other. That's why your finances reflect your routines. Wake up late? You'll pay in lost opportunity. Spend emotionally? You'll pay in stress. Avoid hard decisions? You'll pay in regret. Everything has a cost. The disciplined pay it early, in effort. The undisciplined pay it later, in pain. That's the difference between control and chaos. Impulse, the invisible enemy. The greatest threat to your wealth isn't taxes, inflation, or markets. It's impulse. Impulse is the voice that says, buy it now. You deserve it. Skip it today. You'll start tomorrow. Take the shortcut. No one will know. Impulse is emotional. It's loud. And it always sounds like self-care. But it's self-sabotage in disguise. Discipline silences that voice. Discipline says, not now. Discipline says, earn it first. Discipline says, think long-term. The disciplined man acts according to values. The undisciplined man reacts according to emotions, and that's why one builds wealth, and the other builds excuses. Emotion is expensive. Calm is profitable. Every financial disaster starts as an emotional decision. Greed, fear, pride, envy, they all cost more than mistakes. People don't go broke because of bad luck. They go broke because of bad management of themselves. They panic sell. They overconsume. They copy others instead of trusting process. Emotion kills logic, and logic is the foundation of every great fortune. When markets crash, emotions explode. But the calm investor wins. When opportunity knocks, emotions freeze. But the disciplined mover acts. That's why calm isn't weakness. It's profit. You don't need more emotion in your decisions. You need more structure. The psychology of self-control. Let's get practical. Self-control isn't magic. It's a muscle. And just like any muscle, it grows with resistance. Every time you delay gratification, you strengthen it. Every time you hold focus when distracted, you train it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you prove it. You build power through repetition. And that's why small acts of discipline matter. They're not small. They're compound interest for your mind. Every no to impulse becomes a yes to control. Every controlled decision is a step toward mastery. And once you master yourself, managing money becomes effortless. Because money doesn't require genius, it requires stability. How the undisciplined think, the undisciplined live reactively. They chase stimulation. They confuse movement with progress. They believe if they just make more, they'll fix their problems. But you can't out-earn poor management. You can't fix emotional spending with higher income. You can't buy peace if your mind is chaotic. They want external success with internal weakness. But that equation never works. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about alignment. When your mind, habits, and emotions are aligned, money becomes a tool, not a test. The internal CEO imagine your life as a company. You are the CEO. Your thoughts are employees. Your habits are departments. Your emotions are meetings you must manage. If you don't lead firmly, chaos takes over. If you don't set rules, waste multiplies. That's what happens when you let your impulses run your business. You overspend on emotion. You underinvest in growth. You ignore discipline until the company collapses. Be the CEO your life deserves. Run your mind with structure. Run your time like capital. Run your habits like investments. That's what leadership looks like. And leadership always starts with self. Discipline is the real security. People think money provides safety. It doesn't. Only discipline does, because no amount of money can save an undisciplined mind. They'll spend it, lose it, destroy it. But a disciplined person can rebuild again and again. The disciplined are dangerous, because even if they lose everything, they have the structure to start again. That's true power. Your savings can disappear. Your job can vanish. Your market can crash. But discipline, that's untouchable wealth. That's why the real foundation of success isn't external. It's internal, building the inner framework. So how do you manage yourself? Start small, but stay consistent. Track your behavior. You can't manage what you don't measure. Notice when you act out of impulse or fear. Build boundaries. Protect your time, your energy, your focus. Every distraction is a debt. Audit your emotions. Ask yourself, is this decision emotional or logical? Choose the one that aligns with your principles, not your feelings. Delay before deciding. When you feel pressure, pause. Space creates clarity. These are small acts, but they're worth millions. Because the man who can manage his emotions can manage empires. Closing. Transition wealth doesn't start with numbers. It starts with control. Because if you can't manage yourself, you'll never hold what you earn. Discipline creates stability. Stability creates clarity. Clarity creates profit. So before you ask for more, prove you can handle what you already have. The truth will never change. Self-control before financial control. You've learned how mastery over yourself leads to mastery over money. Now let's uncover the next truth of greatness, the hidden cost of that mastery. Chapter 5. Discipline is a daily decision, not a trait. Tone, direct, intense, tough love, high repetition, actionable, transformation-centered. Discipline isn't who you are. It's what you choose, every single day. People love to say, I'm just not a disciplined person. That's a lie. No one is born disciplined. Discipline isn't in your DNA, it's in your decisions. It's not a trait, it's a choice. And every day, you either build it or break it. The myth of motivation stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to want it. Motivation fades. Emotion shifts. Inspiration dies. But discipline stays. Because discipline isn't emotional. It's mechanical. Motivation says, I feel like it. Discipline says, I said I would. The world doesn't care about your feelings. Results don't come from moods. They come from movement. And movement starts when you act without waiting for motivation. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs act when it's easy. Professionals act because it's necessary. Discipline is choosing progress when comfort whispers your name. Every day is a test. Every morning. Life gives you two buttons, comfort or control. Comfort says, sleep a little longer. Control says, get up and move. Comfort says, you've done enough. Control says, do one more. Comfort says, tomorrow. Control says, now. Every day you press one of those buttons. And your future depends on which one you hit most often. You don't need more talent. You don't need better timing. You need better choices, repeated relentlessly. That's what discipline is. Repetition of right choices. Not once, not twice, but daily. Relentlessly. You build your future one small decision at a time. And those decisions are your destiny. The power of small acts. People think discipline is built in massive moments. Big workouts, big goals, big wins. It's not. Discipline hides in the small things, in how you start your morning, in how you end your day, in whether you keep your word when no one's watching. You want to build massive results? Start with micro-discipline, one push-up, one saved dollar, one page read, one promise kept, because small disciplines compound, just like money. Consistency beats intensity every time. You don't need to change everything, just something every day. That's how greatness grows, quietly, consistently, deliberately. Choice over feeling. You don't need to feel confident to act. You need to act despite doubt. You don't need to feel strong to show up. You need to show up because you're weak. You don't need to feel disciplined. You need to behave disciplined. That's the key. Behavior builds identity. Action creates belief. You don't wait to become disciplined. You decide to be disciplined. And over time, that decision reshapes you. You are what you repeatedly do. Every repetition of discipline rewires your mind to believe, I follow through. I finish. Emotion is the enemy of execution. Discipline dies where emotion dominates. Because emotion says, I don't feel like it. And discipline replies, that's irrelevant. You can't be ruled by emotion and expect to rule your life. Your emotions are servants, not masters. You tell them what to do. You train them. You lead them. Discipline is emotional leadership. It's refusing to be led by impulses. When you choose action over emotion, you turn chaos into clarity. That's where control begins. That's where wealth begins. That's where power begins. Repetition builds identity. Every day, you're casting votes for the person you're becoming. Every disciplined act is a vote for strength. Every lazy excuse is a vote for weakness. You don't become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined through proof. Proof that you can say no. Proof that you can stay consistent. Proof that you can delay gratification. You don't find discipline. You build it. And the construction site is your daily routine. Wake up earlier than you want. Do what you said you'd do. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't wait. Each time you follow through, you reinforce the pattern. I'm a person who does what's required. That identity becomes unshakable. Discipline is freedom undisciplined. People think freedom means doing whatever I want. That's not freedom. That's slavery to impulse. True freedom is doing what you must, even when you don't want to. Freedom is control. Freedom is structure. Freedom is earned through self-mastery. When you are disciplined, you don't rely on luck, mood, or approval. You don't wait for permission. You move, you act, you create. That's power. That's independence. That's freedom. When you slip, reset fast. No one wins every day. You will slip. You will fall. You will fail. The undisciplined use failure as proof to quit. The disciplined use it as fuel to recommit. When you break the streak, don't spiral. Reset immediately. You missed a day? Fine, don't miss two. You broke a rule? Fix it. Don't excuse it. You fell off? Stand up. Faster. Discipline isn't perfection. It's recovery. It's resilience. That's what makes it powerful. It endures. Daily systems over occasional effort. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. If you want lasting discipline, build systems that make the right choice automatic. Set your environment for success. Remove temptation before it removes your focus. Make the disciplined path the easiest one to walk. You don't need more willpower. You need better structure. Structure protects focus. Focus protects consistency. Consistency produces results. And results build belief. That's how you sustain discipline, through design, not emotion. The hard truth: discipline will not always feel good. It will feel boring, repetitive, thankless. But remember this: comfort feels good now, but costs you later. Discipline hurts now, but pays forever. Most people won't choose that pain. That's why most people lose. Discipline is rare because comfort is cheap. And the crowd always picks cheap, but you're not the crowd. You're the builder. You're the one who shows up. You're the one who decides. Closing. Transition discipline is a decision. Not once, not someday, but today and tomorrow and again and again. Every day you prove who you are, not by what you say, but by what you do when no one's watching. Because the truth remains. Discipline first. Results follow. You've learned that discipline isn't permanent, it's practiced. Now it's time to confront the silent killer of that discipline, the mental noise that destroys focus. Chapter 6. The Discipline of Silence. Mastering Focus in a Loud World. The world is loud. Everyone's talking. Everyone's posting. Everyone's chasing attention. But the ones who win are the ones who stay quiet, focused, and obsessed with progress. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is discipline. Most people can't stand quiet because quiet exposes truth. And truth demands accountability. That's why noise is addictive. Noise hides you from yourself. Silence forces you to face your real work. Noise is the new distraction. We live in the noisiest generation in history. Notifications, opinions, updates, constant stimulation. You wake up and the first thing you do is scroll. You check who liked, who posted, who commented. You fill your head before you've even met your own thoughts, and you wonder why you can't focus. Noise is the drug that keeps average minds busy. It makes you feel productive while doing nothing. It makes you reactive instead of intentional. That's how the world keeps you broke, unfocused, and lost. By keeping you distracted. Silence creates strength. Strong minds don't crave attention. They crave results. They crave mastery. The disciplined mind understands silence is where strategy is built. It's where vision becomes clear. It's where focus sharpens like a blade. You can't hear your own potential when you're drowning in other people's noise. You can't build wealth when your mind is scattered across 1,000 opinions. You can't become powerful if you're constantly reacting. The strongest people you know, they're quiet when others speak. They move when others hesitate, and they win while others are still watching. That's not luck. That's focus born from silence. Silence is a training ground. Every moment of silence is a test. Can you sit with your own thoughts? Can you plan without external approval? Can you stay still long enough to listen to yourself? Most can't. They run to noise because noise is easier. Noise keeps you entertained, not educated. But silence. Silence forces you to confront your flaws. Silence says, you could have done better. Silence says, you're not working hard enough. Silence says, fix it. And that's why most people run from it. But not you. You use it because silence, when embraced, builds awareness. And awareness builds discipline. Silence. Over validation, you don't need to announce every step. You don't need to prove every move. You don't need applause to validate progress. The moment you start chasing validation, you stop chasing mastery. Because validation is external. Discipline is internal. Let the results make the noise. Let your consistency speak louder than your words. People who truly win don't post about the process. They live in it. They breathe it. They disappear and return with results. That's the secret of silent growth. You stop proving and start improving. Protect your mental space. You can't focus in chaos. You can't grow in constant interruption. If you want clarity, you must guard your mental environment like a fortress. That means cutting out unnecessary conversations, turning off notifications, leaving the group chats that drain you, saying no to digital noise. Every distraction costs you focus. Every unnecessary scroll costs you energy. Every argument online steals time from your purpose. Silence is a filter. It keeps what matters and blocks what doesn't. That's not isolation. That's protection. That's self-respect. The power of listening discipline isn't just about what you say. It's about what you don't say. Listening is one of the most underrated forms of strength. The loudest one in the room is usually the weakest. The one who listens learns. The one who listens adapts. The one who listens wins. When you stay silent, you gain data. When you observe, you gather leverage. When you think before speaking, you stay in control. Control. That's the key word. And silence gives you control. The more you listen, the less you react. The less you react, the more you direct. And the more you direct, the more you dominate. Solitude builds. Focus. Stop being afraid to be alone. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's leadership training. All great builders, thinkers, and leaders spend time alone, not to escape the world, but to understand it. In solitude, you find the difference between noise and necessity, Between distraction and direction. Between what matters and what doesn't. Schedule silence. Yes, schedule it. Just like meetings, calls, or workouts. 10 minutes a day of silence will do more for your mind than an hour of scrolling ever will, because in that silence, you reconnect to your mission. You remember why you started. You reset your focus. Execution. Love's quiet. When it's time to execute, go silent. Stop talking about what you're going to do. Just do it. Silence creates momentum. It removes the pressure of expectations. It builds mystery. People can't attack what they can't see. They can't sabotage what they don't know. They can't compete with what's hidden. That's why the most dangerous people move in silence. They don't announce. They act. They finish. That's not arrogance. That's focus. That's mastery. The war between noise and focus. Every day the war continues. Noise versus focus. Noise is easy. Noise is everywhere. Noise keeps you comfortable, distracted, and broke. Focus is hard. Focus is silent. Focus requires sacrifice. You can't serve both. You must choose. Choose silence. Choose focus. Choose the discipline to stay unseen while you build what they'll one day see. Remember, attention fades, but results echo forever. Closing transition, silence is not emptiness. It's a weapon. It's how you gather your strength before striking. It's how you separate yourself from the distracted majority. The world will always be loud, but silence will always be powerful. When you master silence, you master focus. And when you master focus, you master time, energy, and direction. You've learned how silence builds strength and control. Now it's time to face the next truth of wealth-building discipline, the one that separates consistent winners from emotional quitters. Chapter 7. Control your emotions, or they'll control your life. Every empire that ever fell from within. Not because of outside enemies, but because emotion took over logic. The same is true for your life. You don't lose because you're weak. You lose because you react. Emotion is the ultimate saboteur. It makes smart people act stupid. It makes disciplined people lose focus. It turns strong plans into impulsive mistakes. If you don't learn to master your emotions will master you. Emotion, the silent thief of discipline. You can have the best plan in the world. Wake up early, save money, build habits, stay focused, but the moment emotion takes control, it's gone. One argument, one disappointment, one insult, and you throw away a week of progress. Emotion makes you impulsive. Impulse destroys discipline. That's how the world traps you. They trigger you, and while you react, they advance. They stay calm while you lose control. You must become emotionally bulletproof, unshakable, untouchable. That's the power of discipline, not control over others, but control over yourself. Emotions are data, not decisions. Emotion isn't evil. It's a signal. It's there to inform you, not to command you. You feel anger? It's telling you something's off. You feel fear? It's warning you to prepare. You feel envy? It's showing you what you desire. But when emotion becomes your leader, you become a puppet. Emotion says, react now. Discipline says, pause, process, decide. The gap between those two, that's your power. That small space between trigger and reaction is where all your growth lives. Train yourself to stretch that gap. To think while others explode, to breathe while others panic, to stay calm while others collapse. That's mastery. Emotional control is wealth. Control, let's talk money. Because this isn't just psychology, it's economy. People lose fortunes not from bad markets, but from bad reactions. Fear makes them sell too early. Greed makes them buy too late. Ego makes them chase losses. Pride makes them ignore reality. Emotion destroys wealth faster than bad strategy ever could. The disciplined investor wins not because he's smarter, but because he's calmer. The same rule applies to life. The calm man always wins. He negotiates better. He thinks clearer. He endures longer. That's the edge. And it's built through self-control. Don't let temporary feelings create permanent damage. How many times have you said something you regret? Walked away too early? quit when it got uncomfortable, all because of emotion. You must learn this truth. Feelings are temporary. Consequences are permanent. Never make a permanent decision in a temporary emotion. Discipline gives you the distance, the ability to feel without folding, to experience anger but not act in anger, to feel fear but still move forward, to feel doubt but still execute. That's how leaders operate. They feel what you feel. They just don't obey it. Calm is a superpower in chaos. Calm is currency. When everyone else panics, the calm one profits. Because calm sees clearly. Calm acts rationally. Calm makes power moves while others make emotional ones. You can't buy calm. You earn it. Through repetition, through reflection, through control. When you train your mind to stay calm in pressure, you become dangerous. Because no one can manipulate you. No one can push your buttons. No one can take your peace. And when you can't be shaken, you can't be stopped. The discipline of the pause. The pause is your weapon. Pause before responding. Pause before reacting. Pause before deciding. In that pause, you reclaim control. Count to 3. Breathe once, step back. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The undisciplined react fast. The disciplined respond slow, because reaction is emotion. Response is strategy. The pause protects your progress. How to train. Emotional control. You don't master emotions by avoiding them. You master them by observing them. Name it. Say, I'm angry. Say, I'm anxious. Label it clearly. When you name it, you separate from it. Breathe. One deep breath resets your nervous system. Breathing is not weakness. It's a command to your brain. I'm in control. Refocus. Ask yourself, what's my mission right now? Emotion wants distraction. Discipline wants direction. Act deliberately. Not out of feeling, but out of principle. Action over emotion always. You don't have to be cold. You have to be composed. Emotion. Love's attention. The more you feed an emotion, the stronger it grows. If you replay the insult and it festers. If you overthink the failure, it multiplies. If you dwell on fear, it dominates. Starve emotion of attention. Starve it of energy. Replace reaction with redirection. Every time emotion rises, redirect it into discipline. Use the anger to train harder. Use the fear to prepare better. Use the sadness to fuel focus. Emotion is energy. Channel it. Don't drown in it. The Stoic mindset. This is the mindset of the disciplined. I can't control everything, but I can control myself. That's the code of Stoic power. You can't control outcomes, opinions, or chaos, but you can control effort, focus, and response. That's where freedom lives. Not in comfort, but in control. The disciplined mind says, you can't offend me into reaction. You can't scare me into quitting. You can't tempt me into distraction. Because the disciplined mind is still, even in the storm, control is calm, calm is power. When your emotions serve your goals, you move faster. When your emotions rule your mind, you move backward. Control is calm. Calm is power. Power is profit. Never forget, your reaction defines your result. Your restraint defines your reputation. Your calm defines your strength. Every time you control your reaction, you take your power back, and that's what wealth really is, power over yourself. Closing transition. You can't master your money if you can't master your mind. You can't control your future if you can't control your emotions. That's why discipline always begins inside. You've learned to stay calm in chaos, but now it's time to learn the one principle that separates dreamers from builders. Because emotion control is power, but time control is wealth. Chapter 8. The discipline of delayed gratification. How to trade now for freedom later. You don't get rich fast. You get rich later because you were patient now. Every successful person you admire delayed something. They sacrificed the comfort of the moment for the control of the future. That's the truth no one wants to hear. Wealth doesn't come to the impatient. It comes to the disciplined. The modern addiction to now. We live in a now culture. Instant likes, instant delivery, instant dopamine. People want success overnight. They want money without mastery. They want comfort without cost. But nothing great happens fast. Fast success is fragile success. It breaks as soon as life tests it. Patience builds permanence. And delayed gratification is the discipline that builds wealth that lasts. Most people fail, not because they can't succeed, but because they can't wait. The science of delay. Your brain craves reward. It wants to feel good now. That's survival instinct, not success instinct. The discipline of delay is about rewiring that instinct, teaching your brain that later is better, training your emotions to endure the wait. Every time you delay gratification, you strengthen the muscle of control. And every time you give in, you weaken it. You skip the gym today? You feed the habit of comfort. You save money instead of spending it? You feed the habit of power. Every choice compounds. Each decision is either building freedom or building dependence. The marshmallow test of life. Decades ago, scientists gave children a choice. 1 marshmallow now, or 2 if they waited. Years later, they studied those same kids. The ones who waited achieved more in school, career, and health. The ones who took the marshmallow early are struggled. Why? Because success is not about intelligence. It's about impulse control. Life is the same test every day. Spend now or invest. Sleep in or show up. Party or prepare. React or wait. Discipline is the decision to take the pain of waiting over the pleasure of now. You're trading. Seconds for decades, every impulsive choice feels harmless. 1 purchase, 1 night off, 1 lazy decision. But that's how people trade decades of potential for seconds of pleasure. You're not just losing time, you're losing trajectory. Delayed gratification is how you turn short-term sacrifice into long-term security. Skip the party, build the project, delay the vacation, build the investment, hold the line today, so you never have to check the price tomorrow. That's how freedom is built. The discipline of saying, not yet. Learn to say, not yet. It's one of the most powerful phrases in self-mastery. Not yet means you're still building. Not yet means you're not done. Not yet means the goal matters more than the impulse. Undisciplined minds say, I deserve this now. Disciplined minds say, I'll deserve it later. It's not about deprivation. It's about timing. Delayed gratification isn't denial, it's strategy. The disciplined don't say never, they say not yet. That's power. That's patience. That's purpose. Patience is the currency of power. Everything powerful requires time, muscles, money, mindset, mastery. You can't microwave greatness. You must marinate in discipline. Impatient people jump from plan to plan. Disciplined people stay with the process long enough to reap results, because patience is the currency of compounding. When you stay consistent while others quit, you're earning interest in a game they've already left. That's how winners separate from the crowd, through endurance. Trading impulse for investment. Every impulse you conquer is an investment. Every delay is a deposit. You don't save money just to hoard it. You save it to gain options. You don't skip comfort for pain's sake. You skip it to buy control later. Freedom is expensive, and the price is paid up front. In sacrifice, in patience, in delayed pleasure. You either pay now with discipline, or you pay later with regret. But make no mistake, you will pay. The question is, will it buy freedom or frustration? The emotional side of waiting hurts. It feels like nothing's working. Like your effort is invisible. That's why so many quit. Not because they failed, but because they didn't feel rewarded fast enough. You must detach from emotional timelines. Stop asking, when will it happen? Start saying, it will happen when I'm ready. The disciplined mind trusts time. The impatient mind fears it. Patience is faith in progress. Faith that the work is compounding, even when unseen. How to train delayed gratification. Start small. Delay minor pleasures. Coffee, scrolling, sugar. Build the muscle of not yet. Visualize the reward. Don't think of what you're losing. Think of what you're gaining later. A clear vision of your why makes waiting easier. Create rules. For example, I don't buy luxuries until investments pay for them. Rules replace emotion with principle. Track the delay. Every time you resist an impulse, note it. Watch control compound. You're training your nervous system to prefer purpose over pleasure. That's what separates the disciplined from the distracted. Discipline turns. Waiting into winning patience isn't passive. It's active control. You're not waiting doing nothing. You're waiting while building. Delayed gratification doesn't mean pause. It means persistence. It means every day you keep planting, watering, and working, even before the harvest arrives. Most people quit before results appear, forgetting that growth happens underground first. Keep building. Keep waiting. Keep believing. The reward is freedom. Freedom is the ultimate delayed reward. Freedom from debt. Freedom from stress. Freedom from the clock. That's what every sacrifice buys you. Freedom. Every no today builds a yes for tomorrow. Every delay now creates time later. Every act of patience earns peace because in the end, you don't want instant comfort. You want permanent control, and that only comes from the discipline of delay. Closing transition. The undisciplined chase pleasure. The disciplined chase purpose. The undisciplined want now. The disciplined want forever. You've learned to delay gratification, to trade impulse for impact. Now it's time to master the final skill that holds all of this together, the one that turns your daily habits into unstoppable momentum. Chapter 9. Consistency beats intensity. The power of showing up every day. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. Because intensity gets you started, but consistency keeps you standing. Anyone can sprint for a week. Few can walk every day for a year. And that's the difference between motivation and mastery. The lie of intensity, everyone loves the big push, the grand gesture, the all-nighter, the grind phase. But intensity is easy. It feeds your ego. It makes you feel productive. Consistency, though, that's quiet. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. But it's what builds the foundation of everything lasting. Intensity burns energy. Consistency builds identity, because it's not what you do once that defines you. It's what you repeat. Motivation is temporary. Systems are forever. Motivation is emotion. Consistency is structure. Motivation gets you to the gym on Monday. Consistency keeps you there on Friday. That's why the most successful people aren't the most motivated. They're the most structured. They don't rely on feeling ready. They rely on discipline. You don't need a motivational quote. You need a system that makes action automatic. Systems beat feelings. Consistency beats mood. And the disciplined always win over the driven. The power of the daily minimum. Most people fail because they aim too high, too fast. They want perfection, not progress. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do something. Every day, create a daily minimum. Not the maximum you can do, the minimum you'll never skip. 10 push-ups. 1 page, 10 minutes of learning. Small disciplines compound faster than big dreams. Because consistency turns small into unstoppable, it's not about speed. It's about streaks. 1 day becomes a week becomes a month becomes a mindset. That's how change happens, through repetition. Intensity feeds ego. Consistency builds confidence. Intensity makes you feel powerful for a moment. Consistency makes you become powerful for life. The person who works out for 2 hours once a week gets results slower than the one who trains for 20 minutes daily, because confidence is built through proof, and proof only comes from repetition. Every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you prove something to yourself. I keep promises to me, and that's real self-esteem. That's real control. Stop trying to conquer a mountain in 1 day. Just climb it one honest step at a time. The boring work is the real work. Success is built in the boring. Not in the breakthrough moments, but in the invisible ones. While others chase novelty, the disciplined master repetition. They do the same thing again and again, but better, sharper, smarter. That's what mastery looks like. Boring consistency that compounds into brilliance. The world rewards excitement, but it's consistency that creates excellence. If you can handle boredom, you can handle greatness, because success is not a highlight reel. It's a routine. Consistency is compounding in motion. Think of consistency like compound interest. Every day you show up, the return multiplies. Miss 1 day? That's okay. Miss 2? That's a warning. Miss 3? You're building a new habit of quitting. The difference between average and elite is not talent, but tolerance. tolerance for repetition. You don't get great results by doing more. You get them by doing enough, long enough, because discipline is not about going hard. It's about never stopping, starting. Over every time you quit, you erase progress. Every restart costs energy. People say, I'll start again Monday. No, start again now. The key isn't a perfect streak. It's persistence. Fall down. Stand up faster. The disciplined don't restart their goals. They resume them. Even if you fell off for a day, a week, a month, it doesn't matter. Start where you are. Continue the line. Consistency is not perfection. It's persistence. The discipline of showing up is 80% of success. Not just in work, but in mindset. Because when you show up, you signal to your brain, this matters, even if you're tired. Even if it's not perfect. Even if you don't feel like it, you do it anyway. That's what separates the disciplined from the distracted. Every day you show up, you strengthen the identity of someone who finishes. That's the identity that builds wealth, health, and power. Consistency creates predictability. Predictability creates freedom. When your life is chaotic, you have no control. But consistency creates order. It builds rhythm. It eliminates decision fatigue. Because once your habits become automatic, your energy is reserved for growth, not excuses. You stop asking, should I? You just do. Freedom doesn't come from random action. It comes from consistent control. And that's what wealth really is. Predictable progress repeated over time. How to build consistency that lasts. Start small. Win daily. Don't set goals that require motivation. Set goals that require discipline. Anchor your habit. Link new actions to existing ones. For example, after coffee I write. After lunch I plan. Anchors make consistency automatic. Track the chain. Use a simple rule. Don't break the chain. Watch your consistency grow like a streak of proof. Celebrate continuity, not completion. Don't wait for the end. Celebrate every day you showed up, especially the hard ones. That's how you transform effort into identity. Intensity impresses. Consistency transforms. Intensity says, look at me. Consistency says, watch what I become. The world remembers those who didn't just start strong, but who stayed strong. You don't need fire. You need follow-through. You don't need energy. You need endurance. Because the person who shows up every day will always surpass the one who only shows up when it's convenient. That's not motivation. That's maturity. Closing transition, you've learned to show up and again. To build momentum through repetition, not emotion. To replace motivation with mastery. Now it's time to bring it all together. To channel everything you've built, the discipline, the delay, the consistency, into the one thing that sustains it all. Chapter 10. The Identity of Discipline, Becoming the Person Who Never Quits. Discipline isn't something you do. It's something you become. It's not about habits. It's about identity. Because when discipline becomes who you are, quitting stops being an option. Who you think you are defines what you'll tolerate. Every action you take casts a vote for the person you believe you are. If you believe you're lazy, you'll act lazy. If you believe you're disciplined, you'll act disciplined. Even on bad days. That's why most people fail. They chase new results while clinging to an old identity. They say, I want to be successful, but they still think, I'm inconsistent. They say, I want to build wealth, but they still think, I'm bad with money. You can't build a new life with an old mindset. The blueprint has to change inside before it changes outside. Discipline begins when identity shifts. Discipline is not punishment. It's alignment. People think discipline means restriction. It doesn't. It means alignment. When your actions align with your goals, when your behaviors align with your values, that's discipline. It's not about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about proving to yourself that you are trustworthy. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. That's how the strongest people in the world operate. Not because they love the grind, but because they hate breaking their word to themselves. That's power. That's integrity. That's self-respect. Stop trying. Start becoming. There's a difference between trying to be disciplined and becoming disciplined. Trying means effort with uncertainty. Becoming means embodiment with conviction. You're not trying to be consistent. You are consistent. You're not trying to wake up early. You are the kind of person who wakes up early. That shift from trying to being is where transformation happens. When your identity locks in, your habits stop needing permission. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You just do it, because that's who you are now. The formula for an unbreakable identity? How do you become that person? The one who never quits. It happens in 3 steps. Define who you want to be. Be specific. Disciplined is too broad. Instead say, I'm the kind of person who never breaks my word. Act like it today. Don't wait for confidence. Act from conviction. Every small choice is a vote for that identity. Reinforce it relentlessly. Repeat it, write it, speak it, until your actions and your beliefs finally match, because repetition creates reputation. And reputation, even with yourself, becomes reality. You don't need motivation. When you have identity, motivation fades. Discipline endures. When discipline becomes who you are, motivation becomes irrelevant. You don't need to be inspired to breathe. You just breathe. In the same way, you don't need to be inspired to stay consistent. You just stay consistent. You don't need reminders. You don't need hype. You just act in alignment. The more you reinforce the identity of a disciplined person, the easier it becomes to live like one. It's not effort anymore. It's automatic. The world can't shake an integrated identity when your identity and your actions are one. You become unshakable. People can doubt you. Circumstances can test you. Emotions can fluctuate. But identity stays. It becomes your anchor in chaos. When everything around you falls apart, you'll still act with order, because that's who you are. You'll keep working when others stop. You'll keep believing when others fold. You'll keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because you don't know how not to. That's the power of identity. Discipline turns into dignity. Discipline gives you something deeper than success. It gives you self-respect. Because every time you keep your word, you rebuild trust with yourself, and that trust becomes peace. No guilt, no excuses, just quiet strength. That's why the disciplined walk differently. They don't need to prove anything. They already know who they are. You can take their comfort. You can take their money. But you can't take their standard, because dignity is born from discipline. Your environment follows your identity. Once you change who you believe you are, your surroundings will start to shift. You'll stop tolerating chaos. You'll stop keeping low-standard people around. You'll start protecting your focus like currency, because the disciplined mind attracts order, and order attracts opportunity. You'll start noticing that life bends toward your structure. Not because life changed, but because you did. The world responds to who you've decided to become, the unbreakable code. Here's the code of the disciplined identity. Do what you say you'll do. Finish what you start. Delay comfort for clarity. Choose consistency over emotion. Become your own proof. That's the code of the 1%, not the wealthy, but the mentally wealthy, the ones who've mastered themselves. Because the truth is, wealth, freedom, mastery, they're all byproducts of identity. Once you become the person who never quits, everything else follows. You are the result of repetition. Everything you are right now is the sum of what you've repeated most often. If you've repeated excuses, you've become them. If you've repeated action, you've become momentum. So from this moment forward, decide what you'll repeat. Repeat discipline. Repeat effort. Repeat integrity, because your future identity is being built today. Every repetition matters. Every moment counts. You're always becoming something. Make sure it's something powerful. The final challenge: stop chasing discipline like it's a goal. Start embodying it like it's your nature. You don't do discipline. You are discipline. You don't practice consistency. You live consistency. Let it become your DNA. Let it define how you move, think, and decide. Because when you become discipline, money, freedom, peace, they all come chasing you. This is who you are now. The one who finishes, the one who leads, the one who never quits. Final transition. Audiobook closing preview. You've built the foundation. You've learned to delay gratification, stay consistent, and protect your standard. Now, it's time to bring it all together, to close this book the same way we opened it, with truth, power, and challenge. Discipline before money, the foundation that never fails. You don't get rich to become disciplined. You get disciplined to become rich. That's the truth most people will never accept. They chase money and lose control. You build control and money chases you. Every chapter, every lesson, every repetition in this audiobook was never about wealth itself. It was about the root of it. Discipline. Discipline to stop chasing pleasure. Discipline to delay gratification. Discipline to stay consistent when no one's watching. Discipline to hold the line when your emotions scream to quit. That's the real currency. Control over yourself. Because when you master yourself, you master your results. So from this day forward, stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for opportunity. Build discipline first. Build it in silence. Build it in the grind. Build it in the moments no one applauds. Because one day they'll call you lucky. But you'll know the truth. You weren't lucky. You were disciplined. You don't get rich to become disciplined. You get disciplined to become rich. This is your foundation. This is your blueprint. And this is the start of your new identity.